get the sharing right? CUE Dehradun. I need the officials there. Can I get the sharing rights? Yeah, thank you so much.
Hello, good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah, good afternoon.
You can start the session, ma'am.
Yes, just a minute, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Good afternoon, all of you. Can you hear me, see me, and can you see the presentation? Okay. Thank you, Nupur ma'am. Thanks for that. Okay. So today's session is, thank you, Shamla ma'am. Thank you so much. So good afternoon to all of you. This is a session on multilingualism, and I'm sure all of you are wanting to know why exactly is this session so important. Thank you, Amita ma'am. Why exactly is this session so important, and why does the CBSE insist on this topic month after month? There is a reason behind it. One, we are now the world's youngest nation. All right, we are the world's youngest nation, and with the youngest population, we are also a country of diversity. We have so many languages and so many people who speak so many different dialects, but if we have a young population that remains unemployed or has a problem because of their languages, what is the use? Can we then be the Vishwaguru that we aspire to be? We are wanting to be Vishwagurus, right? But can we do that if our young population, which is productive, actually doesn't become productive? So, here's Purnima Menon. I am the principal of Anand Vidya Vihar, a school in Baroda, Gujarat, talking to you about multilingualism. I'm sure all of you know what the concept is, but let's understand this in a very different perspective. So what you have on the screen is hello, merhaba, ciao, hola, swagatam, bonjour, annyeonghaseyo, and vanakkam. These are different ways of greeting people. Ciao, of course, in Italian means bye, but in Italian, good morning or hello means buongiorno. All right, so it's a that's, yes ma'am, Amita, it's a very interesting thing because this is the right time for India to shine. Why? Because as I said, we are the world's youngest nation, but if we don't understand how to utilize, how to tap this youth population, then it's going to be a waste. So, let's quickly understand what we are talking about. Okay, so, yes. I have a video here, and I'm going to play the video. I just want all of you to tell me if it's audible. Sometimes, today being a little difficult day, but a little better. Yes, bonjour in French means good morning, ma'am, and in Italian it is buongiorno. So, yeah. Sorry.
आप कहाँ के हैं? मैं कर्नाटक बल्लारी का हूँ.
Can you hear?
आराम आइए साहब. नहीं लिख रहा. दूसरा कन्नड़ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ
West Bengal.
বাঙালি. ও কি হচ্ছে জেলেন?
আমি দাদার সাথে ডান্স এসেছি.
কেন এসেছিস বেটা?
দাদা দিয়েছে.
आप कचौड़ी कितने? मैं कचौड़ी के पाव दे. क्या है आप?
Madurai.
राविल वीटिंग करके.
Madre mía, staples पकड़ा था.
इतने वर्षों में प्रैक्टिस कर रहा हूँ.
Madre mía, staples.
I am from.
दादा आप कितने भाषा बोल लेते हो?
हाँ.
So amazing. And कितने कौन से हैं? हिंदी, इंग्लिश of course.
बिहारी.
तमिल, बिहारी.
English, Tamil,
Bengali,
थोड़ी बहुत
Punjabi.
Oriya.
Okay. So what you actually see here is the video
आप
of Mithun Chakravarti. He is part of a show and he speaks in different languages to different people. I hope I'm audible. Can somebody just write if I'm audible, visible, and the screen is visible? Can somebody simply write yes? Okay, thank you, Bipin sir. Alright, so here Do you think that Mithun Chakravarti is trying to throw off his weight? He's trying to pretend and show off that, look, I know so many languages, you don't know the languages. What do you think he is doing? By speaking in different languages, he makes the contestants feel at home. They feel at home, they feel welcome, and they feel that, okay, now we'll be judged accordingly. There is somebody who speaks our language, we will not be sidelined. So, there is a rapport building done, there is good communication done, there is trust building done. Alright, so knowing different languages would have a lot of advantages. Now, you may think exactly, Shweta ma'am, people feel in a comfort zone when somebody who knows their language speaks to them. For example, let's say I do not know English, I know only Hindi, or let's say I know only one language, and if you speak that language with me, I will feel good, because then I'll feel that, okay, you respect me and I am welcome. Alright, so let's quickly understand what is multilingualism. Multilingualism actually means beginning with the first language, which is your mother tongue. Alright, for all of us in India, our mother tongue is not English. Our mother tongue is a different language, and that's our first language. So beginning with the first language, if we have a mastery on the language that is spoken at home, that's our first language. We must, what is it, this particular slide says, you need to have a mastery on at least one language, and that preferably is your mother tongue. This is just general knowledge, but Paulo Freire, he is a person he's a pioneer of critical pedagogy. You know what critical pedagogy means? Pedagogy is the art or the science of teaching. And critically, if you minutely understand this art or this science, then that is called, critical pedagogy. Minutely. Critically as in to see it with the minute nuances. He spoke he gave one very important concept. He said, language is always meant for liberation. So imagine you have a lot of good ideas. You are going to a place, you find the people having a lot of trouble. You know the solution to the trouble, but you do not know how to communicate to them. They are actually having trouble. You can give a solution, but you do not know their language. Then, Rajiv sir, your net has to be really strong, because mine is strong, I believe. Am I visible to all of you? Am I visible to all of you, please? Let me know, because Rajiv sir says she's only able to hear me. Okay, Shweta ma'am says she's able to see me. Amita ma'am, Nupur ma'am. Okay, so please sir, check your net connection also. Okay, so Paulo Freire said language is meant for liberation, which means language is that which makes you feel really liberated. All your ideas which are locked up in your head comes out, is communicated to the other party because you know their language. Which is why in Sanskrit it translates to Ya Vidya Sa Vimukti. Wo Vidya Jo Vimukti De. Wo Vidya, Bhasha Wo Vidya Hai. Language is that knowledge that gives you liberation. जो आपको विमुक्ति यानी जो आपको मुक्त कर दे, क्योंकि आप बंधन में नहीं हो. You are not in the bondage of not knowing the language and not knowing how to communicate. But this is a very important thing. When you talk about language, you can't say that, no, I know another language because I can say the same word, the same thing I can say in different words. My favorite example is, for example, this is a pen, alright? A pen in English is pen, in Hindi it is kalam, in Malayalam it is, I think, pena, we call it pena. So in different languages, you have different words. So do I want to show off that, look, I know 3 languages, so I know 3 different words for the same thing? Actually, no. You should know languages in a manner that helps you think differently, that helps you think from the other person's point of view. Let's say I know Bengali very well. Now, if I go to Bengal, they speak certain things. It's not that I only understand their language, but I understand their way of thinking. That is why knowing a different language is very, very important. Okay. This is again a very important slide. It says in 2015 there was a medical study done, and it said in India most of us are bilinguals by default. हम कम से कम 2 भाषाएं जानते हैं. Either we know both English and Hindi, or we know our language and Hindi may not be English because Bollywood is popular. So either way, we know 2 languages minimum. There is nobody in India who cannot speak minimum 2 languages. Alright, even our shopkeepers, push cart vendors, sabji wala, vegetable seller, the scrap seller, they all know at least 2 languages. So in India, most people are bilinguals by default, and when there is a brain stroke issue, most of the Indians show a higher tendency to improve than people who are monolinguals. For example, you compare them to say a place like, say, I'm not very sure, but let's say Pakistan, where in Punjab they only speak Urdu, they do not know English, they do not know. I'm talking about people who do not know. Okay, there may be people who know different languages. So they only know one language, they do not know Hindi. Let's imagine they only know Urdu. So in that case, they are only monolingual. Or you compare people to China or Spain, where people speak only Spanish or they speak only Mandarin, they do not know any other language. They are monolinguals. Now in this case, the possibility of an Indian surviving a brain stroke is twice better or higher than a monolingual. I have a video. I want all of you to take a screenshot of this link. Show it to your school children. Please show, because it's a very, very important study. It's a survey and it talks about the advantages of multilingualism. So I'm going to play that.
¿Hablas español? Parlez-vous français? 你会说中文吗? If you answered sí, oui, or 会, and you're watching this in English, chances are you belong to the world's bilingual and multilingual majority. And besides having an easier time traveling or watching movies without subtitles, knowing 2 or more languages means that your brain may actually look and work differently than those of your monolingual friends. So, what does it really mean to know a language? Language ability is typically measured in 2 active parts, speaking and writing, and 2 passive parts, listening and reading. While a balanced bilingual has...
Okay, I just want to quickly tell you, you saw 2 important things till now. One, the brain of a multilingual. It looks denser, zyada color mein. It's denser as opposed or versus the brain of a monolingual, which means there is more activity that's happening in the brain of a multilingual person as compared to a person who's a monolingual. Now, there is an active part of your brain, there is a passive part. So if I say I know English, I should be able to not just read and understand, I should also be able to write and speak. If I can write, I already know the language really well, I can speak, that means I'm an active learner of the language. But if I can only read and understand, I can listen, but I can't speak, nor can I write, I don't have that mastery, then I'm a passive learner of the language. Alright, now we are coming to the concept of balanced bilingual. So let's continue.
Near equal abilities across the board in 2 languages. Most bilinguals around the world know and use their languages in varying proportions. And depending on their situation and how they acquired each language, they can be classified into 3 general types. For example, let's take Gabriella, whose family immigrates to the US from Peru when she's 2 years old.
Okay, I want all of you to pay attention to this example. They are just trying to tell you that when you are a bilingual, nobody's actually checking. I can say that I know English, I can even say that I know, Turkish, or I can say that I know Hindi, I know Malayalam, I can understand Gujarati. Now, whether I am a passive learner or an active learner is not important. I have finally understood the language. I may not be speaking as nicely as a Gujarati speaks Gujarati, but I can speak. So, it doesn't matter whether I speak with that accent or the diction, but I understand the language and I can communicate in it. So, I am a balanced bilingual. Balanced means my active and my passive portions are simultaneously good. I can speak a little, maybe I can write a little, but I may be better at reading and understanding. So, being a balanced bilingual. Now, they are giving an example of a family. Please note, this is a family of 4 people. There is a young girl of 2 years of age. She, along with her father, mother, and a teenage brother, are migrating from Peru in South America to North America. North America is USA, where they speak only in English. Now, this girl in Peru, in her house, they speak Spanish, only Spanish. So now see her condition.
As a compound bilingual, Gabriella develops 2 linguistic codes simultaneously with a single set of concepts, learning both English and Spanish as she begins to process the world around her. Her teenage brother, on the other hand, might be a coordinate bilingual, working with two sets of concepts, learning English in school while continuing to speak Spanish at home and with friends. Finally, Gabriella's parents are likely to be subordinate bilinguals, who learn a secondary language by filtering it through their primary language.
Okay, I just want to know, is this audible and visible? Is the video audible and visible, please? Because somebody just wrote that they can't. Sorry for disturbing you. I just want to know if the video is audible and visible. Okay, thank you, Shweta ma'am. I got to know that somebody is able to see it. All right, thank you, Nupur ma'am. Thank you, Amita ma'am. All right, so please check your internet connection at your end. Maybe that's the reason why you're just able to hear. Maybe you're not able to see. You're not able to hear the video. I hope you've taken the screenshot of the video. It's not visible, Kirti ma'am says, but kindly check your connection, ma'am, because some places it is visible. So if you want, you can. Okay, Momita ma'am says it's audible. Is it visible? Are you able to see the screen, or is it not? Okay, you are able to see the screen. All right, it's visible and audible. Thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, now we've just seen the example. You've seen three types of look. Plus too young. Imagine Gabriella, like student coming to your class, who's just 2 years old, or 2 years of age, or 3 years. For her, she's learning the same word. For example, aeroplane. She's learning avion and aeroplane at the same time. In school, she's learning aeroplane. At home, she's taught, oh, that's avion. So she's able to learn two languages together. That's why she is a compound bilingual. Whereas her brother is a coordinate bilingual, because at school he is learning everything in English, but at home he still contacts he talks to his parents, his friends in Spanish. So he is learning another language, but he has a sound knowledge of first language one. Parents are very good with language one, which is Spanish. Now everything that they learn from language two, which is English, they're going to use a filter of Spanish. For example, oh, this is water in Spanish. So this is water. In English, it's called water. So they correlate. They understand water is equal to this in Spanish. For example, हम बोलते हैं हमें पानी मालूम है, पानी is for water. So जो पहली बार water समझता है, अच्छा water यानी पानी, water equal to पानी. दिमाग में water equal to पानी. So making an equation and you're learning it. That's what Gabriella's parents as subordinate learners are learning. Sorry, I just.
Gabriella develops two in Spanish as she begins to process concepts, learning English, who learn a secondary language by filtering it through their primary language. Because all types of bilingual people can become fully proficient in a language, regardless of accent or pronunciation, the difference may not be apparent to a casual observer. But recent advances in brain imaging technology have given neurolinguists a glimpse into how specific aspects of language learning affect the bilingual brain. It's well known that the brain's left hemisphere is more dominant in analytical and logical processes, while the right hemisphere is more active in emotional and social ones. Though this is a matter of degree, not an absolute split. The fact that language involves both types of functions, while lateralization develops gradually with age, has led to the critical period hypothesis. According to this theory, children learn languages more easily because the plasticity of their developing brains lets them use both hemispheres in language acquisition.
Okay, so you learned two, three new things till now. Your brain looks very active when you're multilingual. There is a lot of activity going on because in your brain you have neurons and synapses, the joints, like connections happening. So the more the languages you know, the more the connections it makes. Because every time I speak to you in English or I switch over to Hindi, you who knows both, you know both English and Hindi. So when I speak to you in Hindi, 1 minute I speak to you in Hindi, your brain is decoding what has been spoken and you decode it. When I speak to you in English, your brain is decoding and it is translating and telling you, giving you the instructions. This is what the person spoke in English. So your mind is decoding it continuously, which means that there is a lot of activity inside the brain. Now the brain has two hemispheres, the left and the right. The left side is responsible for, it's the more dominant part, it's a more analytical part. Analytical means, for example, I am an adult now. If I want to learn, say, Korean, like the children love Korean, BTS, K-pop, I also want to learn Korean. This what visible? Okay, thank you so much. I could see myself, there is some issue with here. Thank you so much. Now can you see me? Now can you see me? Yeah, thank you Nupur ma'am. Alright, so you see that in children, so the brain is, left side is responsible for analytical processes. So for example, I want to learn Korean now. What will I do? I will learn the Korean word and I will equate it to the language I know best. For example, I understand English the best, let's say. So I would pick up the word from Korean and equate it to a word in English, and then I would register that in my head. So this is equal to this. For example, I call, say, this is a register. So I say that this is a register. Let's say I learn the Korean word, and the Korean, this particular word is equal to register in English. So my mind is doing the equation part. That's the left hemisphere talking. The right hemisphere is the more emotional part. Now imagine, as an adult, if I'm learning a language, I will use my left portion. But if I'm a child and I love my friend in my colony and I want to learn his language, I will be applying my right, emotional, artistic side because I love the person. So because of my love, I'm learning the language faster. But generally, whichever side is applicable, it doesn't matter. Children are like sponges, they pick up languages really fast. So if you, let's say the child is playing with a Bengali, a Korean, a Chinese and a Tamilian, the child will pick up all the 4 languages because the children, their brain is like, that's more plastic, unlike the adults. They learn faster.
While in most adults, language is lateralized to one hemisphere, usually the left. If this is true, learning a language in childhood may give you a more holistic grasp of its social and emotional contexts. Conversely, recent research showed that people who learned a second language in adulthood exhibit less emotional bias and a more rational approach when confronting problems in the second language than in their native one. But regardless of when you acquire additional languages, being